So we're going to talk about conscious humility from differentiated intuitive perception. And you can find this information it's from Carl Jung. And there's an account, Psychology Cortex, on Instagram that kind of put this all together in a great way. So in 1913, Carl Jung, in treatment of people, he had 12 observations of conscious people. Social facade, sensing beyond small talk, empty questions, the quiet rage, the desperation, the falling apart. It's a too differentiated perception for a social survival. He also learned, that was the first. The second was the 1% population. This is the intuitive perception of picking up repressed content, psychological patterns, and unconscious emotional states. And the third thing he noticed was something called mirror attack. People with clear perception became targets for shadow projection. When someone's unconscious content gets reflected back through another's clarity, the mind has two options: integrate what's being shown or attack the mirror. The person who sees clearly gets blamed for creating the problem they're merely observing. I like to think of this as when you show someone the gap and they blame you for the gap, right? That's the idea. 4, scapegoat phenomenon. A highly perceptive individual become often the designated problem in every group they enter, not because they cause problems, but because they reveal the problems already existing in the collective unconscious. The bearer of superior perception becomes the repository for everything in the group that can't consciously acknowledge. The group can't consciously, the collective really, the group cannot consciously acknowledge about itself. These individuals don't just feel misunderstood, they actually feel systematically targeted by a force they can't rationally explain. Then the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the 4 types, the 4 intuitive types. The first is called feeling intuitive type. And this is absorbing emotions into the body so completely that the person cannot distinguish their own feelings from those that they are unconsciously absorbing. This is a perpetual emotional contagion, experiencing the unlived emotions of everyone in their environment. Unlived emotions, wow. Thinking intuitive types. These see psychological patterns and predict behavioral outcomes with startling accuracy, forecasting relationship failures and personal breakdowns, quote unquote, like months before they occur. It's unconscious pattern recognition. It's referred to as the uncanny ability to perceive the logical conclusions of unconscious processes that others cannot yet see. Then there's the sensation intuitive type, physical manifestations, intuitively sensing physical manifestations of psychological states by others, in others. For example, they can detect an illness before symptoms appear. They can sense fatigue before acknowledgement. They can feel bodily tension that indicates emotional distress. And these individuals are serving as early warning systems for psychological and or physical disease in their environment. Then we have the pure intuitive type, the 4th type, sees everything but has difficulty expressing perceptions coherently. They're living in perpetual overwhelm without adequate structure to process constructively the vast amounts of unconscious information. Think of it as a undifferentiated auxiliary function. They lack the psychological framework to sort and integrate what they perceive. They struggle most with daily function. 9, there's some dangers. This is what Carl Jung observed. A, collective unconscious disruption. Organizations and families function through unconscious agreements about what won't be acknowledged, and these are violated by the highly perceptive individual simply because of existing authentically. Another danger, and obviously there could be repercussions. B, psychological isolation. The island of awareness, as an island of awareness, because consciousness can't be shared with those who don't possess it. And then C, identity dissolution. People who absorb unconscious contents from others often lose contact with their own authentic personality. Then we have integration process. This is a systematic approach. In order to integration, we would call it of the perception process. Phase 1, recognition and differentiation. So this is to recognize and differentiate between inner authentic experience and unconsciously absorbed external content. Requirement for this is to spend time in complete solitude daily, so absorbed material can settle. Phase 2 is shadow integration. People who see other shadows clearly often do so because they haven't integrated their own. So acknowledge that you contain every human quality you observe in others. And 3, conscious participation. Learn to engage with others' psychological contents without being overwhelmed or losing individual identity. So it's like participating consciously, rather we would call it then like reactively or unconsciously or subconsciously. 11 of Carl Jung's observations. Historical figures have shown that conscious humility is required that superior perception is a gift to be shared wisely. Wielding perception as a weapon against society will cause isolation and eventual breakdown where the extraordinary insight remains unintegrated. However, channeling mystical intuition into compassionate service and see clearly, but speaking in ways that invite understanding rather than creating resistance would be considered conscious humility. I'll repeat that. Channeling to channel mystical intuition into compassionate service and see clearly but speak in ways that invite understanding rather than creating resistance. And 12, finding safe relationships with, quote unquote, the few who understand. People who ask genuine questions about observations rather than immediately defending against them. Such people, they acknowledge contradictions and limitations without shame, and they demonstrate psychological mindedness, like an interest in the inner realm. They maintain emotional stability when confronted with uncomfortable truths. These connections are essential for psychological survival. And finally, Carl Jung says, one who has this superior function does not need to identify with it. Rather can integrate it consciously. No need to save everyone from unconsciousness. No need to preach, judge, or isolate. And that's all for today. And before Shabbos, I wish everybody a good Shabbos. I'm going to give some blessings, quite a lot today. Connecting the subconscious and superconscious. And to be impressed by people and empower each other. So be impressed and impressive for people. Have a good eye. Set people up to succeed and vice versa. Give and receive without conditions or attachments, rather from abundance, overflow. Self-regulate and better self-care. Be in truth as a lifestyle, good communication, and good rest. Trust the timings and trust time and the information and the energy. Refinement, clarity, conscious humility, capacity, change. Fresh new flow, springtime, vibes of spaciousness and expansion. May all tests be completed with high grades, and may we receive great prizes and overly satisfactory rewards. Integrated intuition and shadow. All the signals and signs that we need to feel loved and be loving. And to participate authentically and to have awareness of the desires, of our desires as immunity from exploitation, loyalty and care and being appreciated, not being taken for granted, self-understanding and embodiment of the of feminine as amplification and absorption and reflection, and acknowledgement of masculine as action and expression and release. And to not interfere or pry or criticize, but rather to let others figure themselves and each other out. Food as fuel, keeping stomach right-sized, and silliness, holiness, stability, and inner safety as the touchstone for true security, always available, reliable, dependable access. And may we cross the threshold in gentle mercy for of the nuclear payload for the presence of oneness. May we have a good Shabbos. May we be proud of ourselves, and may we feel comfortable and healthy and sane and kind, and have the connection we need, and may we be and also may we be emotionally available. And may we see emotional available and dignity and sovereignty. And may we have faith that all meetings are necessary with everyone we cross paths with. For the greater good. Amen. And may Shabbos be perfect Shabbos, aligned Shabbos. Wishing everybody Mashiach energy.